Whether it's bad planning, bad luck, bad timing, or bad inventions, well-intentioned bad decisions have plagued history for thousands of years. Welcome to Historic Hindsight. Hello and welcome to Historic Hindsight. I'm John, that's Tom, and today we're going to talk to you about Pocahontas.
That's right, Johnny. I know you're super excited about this because your name is John Smith, and I'm sure you never, ever in your life had to deal with Pocahontas references.
Yeah,
ever.
this Disney rendition of Pocahontas in which she runs off and marries John Smith and has some romantic escapades or something. I don't know. I've never saw the movie. Ruined elementary school for me.
How have you never seen the movie, Johnny?
Because it came out when I was in elementary school, and all I ever got was people asking me where my Pocahontas was and teasing me about that and all this other BS. And it's hard enough being John Smith and having your name on every credit card, commercial. And so out of just spite, I guess, I decided never to watch it.
It's got the Mel Gibson in it, Johnny. The Mel Gibson.
Yeah, I didn't.
I have like
Still don't.
5 references that I'm going to be using throughout this whole damn thing. I'm going to try to see if Disney can block us on this one. Well, anyways, all right, Johnny.
I learned one thing about Pocahontas, and that was it. And that was that she apparently didn't actually marry John Smith. She married John Wolfe or something like that later. I don't know if it's even true, but I learned that and told it to everybody who made fun of me.
Oh, well, Johnny.
It didn't matter. They continued.
Buckle up, because we're going to, here's my first one. It's a very cheesy one. We're going to go just around the river bend, Johnny, while we talk about the Pocahontas. I know you don't understand. See, this is you've ruined this episode for me because everything I'm going to make that's funny of Disney, you're not going to understand any of it.
Oh, is that that's one of the songs? And
yes, yeah, there's a song.
I think I know some of the soundtracks and stuff. I mean, I have children, so I get the soundtracks.
Way to piss on my parade here. Well, anyways, you at home, take everything you think you know about Pocahontas and go ahead and throw it out the window, because chances are what you've heard is complete and total bullshit. Disney horrendously bastardized and glorified her story, and about the only thing they got right was that she befriended Jamestown community. Sort of. She sort of befriended them.
Oh, I mean, they needed a new princess, though.
Oh, my God. Okay. We'll get there.
She checks some boxes. I'm just,
yes. We'll get there. Her birth name was Matoaka, also known as Amuta, and eventually would become Rebecca Rolfe when she does, in fact, Johnny, marry Rebecca Rolfe.
John Rolfe.
So John Rolfe. She was born around 1596-ish. We don't really have any good sense of how old she was other than John Smith's writings. And we'll get to how that's all jacked up and makes no damn sense. But she was born in the capital of her tribe called Werowocomoco. So bear with me because I do not speak native tongues.
Man, you don't speak any other language. You have trouble with cities from everywhere.
Yes, I do. And people's names from everywhere.
And names, yeah.
I speak a little bit of German, Johnny.
But I mean, it's rough,
not really. No, it's very rough. Yeah, no, it's awful. So bear with me because I can't pronounce anybody's names, let alone Native American names. Her birth date, like I said, was estimate. And we go by John Smith's writings, which in 1808 he wrote, or 1608, sorry, he wrote his first letter back to England describing his experiences in Jamestown, and in which one of them he does write about Pocahontas, and he says she seems to be about 10 years old. So first off, right off the bat, Disney, 10.
Yeah.
You made a love story about John Smith and a 10-year-old. So calm down, Disney.
Most Disney princesses are 16.
But at least 16, Johnny.
I actually just looked up the age of all of them, and like only one was like 2 were over 16. Most were 16, and then I can't remember who was. I think 13 or 14 was the youngest.
Sleeping Beauty she got her curse on her 16th birthday.
Yeah.
What's it? Yeah, 14, 16, something like that. Whatever. Yeah, she got her curse on one of those birthdays. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. Most of them were young teenagers.
we might have to do an episode on the real, like the origins of these fairy tales, because they are like Sleeping Beauty. it wasn't a kiss that woke her up. Prince Charming had his way with her while she was passed out, got her pregnant. She didn't wake up until after she gave birth to the baby. So,
Oh.
like, we might want to do a story on the
Not a
real, like,
terrible way
origins
to
of
spend your
these.
pregnancy and birth, though. Like, if you don't have
Yeah, just
to go through
being
labor.
asleep.
I mean, obviously the previous, rape part's
You're a little
bad, but
Epstein. Yeah, it's a little Epstein there, Johnny, talking about
no, I'm just
taking
talking.
underage girls while they're sleeping.
No, I'm just talking about for somebody. I'm sure a pregnant woman, if she wanted to be pregnant and have a baby, given the option, could just sleep through the pregnancy and labor portion of it, and then just at the end of it, wake up with a baby. I'm sure most people would choose that.
Yeah, that might be the best way. So that's where we get the 1596 date from, as the 1608 letter where John Smith describes her to be about 10 years old.
I'm sorry.
But I
Have
want
you
you to keep.
seen 10-year-old girls or girls that look about 10? They could be anywhere from like 6 to like 15 or
Oh
16.
God! And nowadays, the way girls look
It's
nowadays, God, I can't even begin to guess on ages.
no.
Anyways, but bear in mind, when he returns and writes again in 1616, he describes her as being around 12 or 13. Dude, 8 years has passed. Like, you really jacked up the whole age thing here.
Well, so yeah, so about 10 was, maybe, or maybe she just had real good skin. I mean, probably had a good diet, probably, well-rounded diet. Maybe she just looked young, and maybe she was like 16 when he met her the first time, but looked young. So he's like, whatever, she's 10. And then she's 26 or 24 or whatever, and then looks great because she's just, you know,
Or
takes
what
care
it
of
really
herself.
is he didn't really ever pay her any mind, and it wasn't that big of a deal for him. And
They didn't fall in love.
it's just some young girl. No, I'm
She
going to
didn't
spoil right
save
now with you,
him.
Johnny. John Smith and Pocahontas do not fall in love at all, even remotely. What?
You
Everybody at
gotta
home
be
watching
kidding me.
Disney has been ruined.
Disney lied to me.
Disney did lie to you. Yeah.
A quaint
Well,
little
but
mom and pop shop lied to me.
we'll get there. It's a little. We'll get there. Just bear with me.
All right.
She was a daughter of Chief Powhatan, who was the paramount chief of a network of tributary tribes known as the. Bear with me here. Sunakomaka.
I mean,
Close enough.
okay.
It was
I'll
about
buy it.
30 allied. Yeah, it was about 30 allied tribes that encompassed the Tidewater region in Virginia. So right around Jamestown area, there's these 30 networks of tribes. He was the head of all of them, or loosely the head of all of them, as best you can. It's not like they have kings or anything else like that. But
Yeah.
John Smith and everybody else who's English doesn't understand how to like distinguish any of this. So they're like, he's a king. He wasn't.
Well, simple white man.
Right, just describing it and how they which is
Just
why you should always be
I'm
very
not going to understand
dubious.
your culture. I'm going to take a look at it from my culture and just assign
Yes,
attributes.
that's why you should always be wary of ethnographies or any kind of firsthand account of somebody talking about another person's culture, because it's going to be bastardized and wrong.
Yeah, well, it's that, it's like using defamiliarization to describe things. Like if you could talk about how Jesus was crucified and all that, and everybody's like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But if you talk about like the actual, like, you can make some, the sky god comes down and hides in the cave and does all this stuff, and people, you defamiliarize it, and it makes it. That's what we do with other cultures, and so they don't make sense. But like, of course they don't, because we're not understanding it. We're just describing it as
In a
ascribing
way
our
that we
own
can,
stuff to it.
figure it out. Yeah. Not much is known about Pocahontas' mother from oral traditions. And a lot of this, take it with what I say with a little bit of a grain of salt, because most of this is coming down from oral traditions of surviving tribal members
Right.
of this tribe, which is very, very loose. Like, bear in mind, some of this is dubious at best. I tried my best with the research I found.
Wasn't the
Um,
Bible in oral history for like 400 years?
I think it was 300. Yeah. But anyways, but we believe she was of lower status in the tribe. We think she might have been Powhatan's first wife, and we know she died in childbirth. So that's
Oh,
about
well,
what we got.
I guess that's why
And
we don't know much about her. Don't
No,
know.
and we don't
What's to
even
know?
we believe that that Pocahontas's birth name, Matoaka, was actually her mom's name, and she was named after her mom. Her
That would
name,
make sense.
Amut Omanut, is actually a nickname, which means little wonton or playful one,
Huh.
because in this particular tribe and their traditions, you have a birth name, and then you have kind of the name that the tribe gives you when you develop a personality.
Right. Once they figure out if you're a jerk or not,
Yeah,
they decide how cool of a name
because
to give you.
you know there was definitely sitting asshole over there.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Head up his ass.
Popular culture identifies her as a princess, which this is what really pissed me off. She most definitely was not a princess by any stretch of the imagination. Now, granted, she was one of the more favorite children from Powhatan, but in that tribe, they don't pass down on lineage, like rulership
So
lineage
like a
through
princess wasn't
children.
even a thing she could have been.
Sort of. It wouldn't have been done by his children. The heir would have been the either his brother or sister,
Would
or would
she
have
have
been
within the tribe? Would she have been recognized as a princess? Is there
no. She would have
right?
just
So that's
been
what I'm saying.
no,
There's not even a thing she can be.
no.
It's
She's
just
not a
they're like
princess.
that's what
She
she
would,
is. She's a princess.
yeah.
So it's similar to this.
The best title anybody underneath Powhatan could have gotten would have been what's called a werewance, which is a sub chief, and again, it follows what's called a matrilineal inheritance. John Smith himself describes it as a kingdom descendant, not to his sons or nor children, but first to his brethren, whereof he hath three. So Powhatan actually had three other siblings
Okay.
that it would have passed down to prior to going to any children. And even with that, it's very loose because the tribes kind of, if they don't like you as a leader, you're not going to be the leader.
Right.
It's not democracy or which we would think of like they voted on it, but it's still not just a
No.
strict bloodline thing either.
Right. Well, but I mean, I imagine it would be like miniature revolutions and coups where they overthrow, but because of probably the size of everything else and just people agreeing and it being a thing that happens, it just happens when people get mad enough, they overthrow them and kick them out and they're like, well, give us a new one.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Bees do it that way. Do you know that? Bees,
Did they kick out the queen?
they drag her when they get tired of the queen, they drag her out and leave her for dead.
What the hell
And
does a
then
queen ever of a queen does there is make babies. But
yeah,
that's
but
her whole job.
and
But I guess
then
look,
they
if she
can
gets
just
old haggity and we don't like how she's putting out anymore, we'll just
yeah, that's what they do. They drag her out of the hive and let her die, and then they just make a new queen. They can decide who to make a queen. It's wild.
nice. That's actually pretty awesome. Things that we need to just have an animal segment where Johnny teaches us about animals because I don't know shit about animals.
Yeah, I'm down. I can teach you about an animal or two.
So the whole story of Pocahontas and John Smith and all that crap begins when the dirty English arrived to the New World. In 1607, John Smith arrives with 100 other settlers, and they build a fort on the marshy peninsula of James River because that seems like a logical place to build a fort, right
In a
in the middle
marsh?
of a marsh.
What? I mean, they're. I mean, I don't know.
Now, Disney would have you
I guess
believe
it was just this wilderness with like no trails and no
yeah, well, I
cities
mean, there would be
and
some like hunting trails and that kind of stuff, and there are some small communities that the Native Americans had built. I mean, there are
oh,
towns. I use that for lack of a better word.
Tommy. Before we got here, I've read that Native
Oh,
Americans had trade routes set up throughout the entire country.
yeah, they did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like we didn't walk into a wilderness.
no,
We
no, there were
walked in.
definitely towns.
We walked into like trails that weren't mowed down because they didn't want to like give
We
their
didn't
away with it.
have paved
Like
roads with
yeah,
cobblestone, I
and
guess.
they're like, oh, there's nobody here. It's a wilderness forever and miles, and I have to trek across it on this trail that's already been made from this city to the next.
Yep, yep. So Disney would have you believe that the natives were always hostile, and everybody but Pocahontas was just evil of the white man. And Pocahontas was inquisitive, and she loved studying Johnny Smith, and he was the sexiest person in the world. So
So
it's all
she's just this like I don't know 7 to 10 year old girl who's smitten with this new like how old was John Smith at this like 20s
oh yeah, yeah, easy.
like
I didn't look up how old he was necessarily at the specific time, but yeah,
but
20s, early 30s, yeah.
20s 30s whatever, so just this dude comes in, you know, swinging his axe or whatever. I don't know what they were doing back then. And she's just smitten with him.
Yeah, but that's not how it happened at all.
Oh,
No, no.
well,
So it's complete bullshit. What actually
huh.
is the tribes are initially friendly with the new settlers, and then with misunderstanding, which you're going to get with people who don't speak the same language,
Yeah.
shit goes sideways. They go through this huge period of like friendly hate, friendly hate, friendly hate, friendly hate. So
They're
it
hot,
was an
then
instant
they're
all-out war.
cold, or yes, then they're no.
Yeah, and then we're gonna get trademarked soon. Anyways,
I'm allowed 2 seconds, I think. I don't know.
yeah. Some trade was opened up at the beginning of this with the two cultures, but like I said, they don't really understand each other, and conflicts exist because ignorance is bliss, I guess. In December 1607, this is where the whole story starts. John Smith would wind up being captured by a close relative of Powhatan named Opechancanough, who picked
Okay.
up, yep, Opechancanough. These names are super ass long too. It's Opechancanough. It's like a 20 letter. That's too
I'm,
much.
I mean,
Anyways,
but it probably means like 5 different, like a whole sentence.
oh, I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. He was John Smith was exploring the Chickahomia River because John Smith was an idiot, intended to wander off by himself and explore this wild wilderness by himself without any kind of backup or knowledge of what the hell he was doing. Because John Smith is a fucking tool. Like, not you, Johnny, but John Smith was a tool, and I can't
Do you,
make that enough clear about how dumb this guy was.
can you understand why I got so upset and never watched the movie? Because this
I
is
can
all I
feel you.
got.
I
Man,
can feel you on that one. So he gets picked up.
I lost out on elementary school girlfriends. All right, I could have held hands with a few more girls
But
if
none of them
not
were
for
named
my name.
Pocahontas.
Because yeah, they didn't want to be teased and called Pocahontas. Because every girlfriend I had up until I married my wife, everyone's like, "Oh, is that your Pocahontas?" And now I have to call her Pocahontas all the time. It's
Yeah,
weird.
I'm totally gonna call Ashley Pocahontas the
Yeah,
next time I see her.
yeah.
Yeah, but wasn't didn't your son discover Pocahontas and John Smith and then start like bombing your phone with a bunch of memes about
Yeah,
them?
yeah. I don't know. My 7-year-old started. He just started texting me all of these different John Smith like memes from all from the Disney Pocahontas movie, and and it went on for like an hour, and it drove me nuts. And then you did it.
Because you told me about it,
Eh,
so of course I had to join
No,
in.
you did it before. I don't know. I think they posted something on Facebook or something.
Yeah, they
I
posted
didn't
something
know
on. Yeah,
about
they
that.
did. They
And then
posted
you
something on
sent
Facebook and I joined in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you sent it to me. I'm like, what is going on? Why is everybody all of a sudden texting me Pocahontas stuff?
Which is why we're doing Pocahontas this week.
Which there you go.
So
That's what brought it up.
so this is where a lot of the stuff starts happening because there's a big misunderstanding on how warfare is conducted by the Sinacomaka people. So their style of war is a lot different than the European style of war. They have more of a tit for tat kind of thing. So if you kill one of my men, I'll kill one of your men, and they leave it at that. There's not a total war kind of thing going on. They
Right.
also
So
do
they
what's
don't have just needlessly hundreds of civilian casualties and
no,
other
it's
casualties and
I'm not trying to romanticize it either. They are vicious and violent when the attacks happen, but it's not.
oh yeah.
It's a tit for tat kind of thing. And they
I mean,
also,
it's hard to not be vicious when your weapons are like bows, arrows, spears, knives, and hatchets
yeah,
and
made out of
tomahawks.
rocks.
Like, yeah, it's hard to have a nice battle that way.
Yeah. Uh, they also do what's called basically hostage exchange, where it's not like we would think of today, where I have a POW and I throw him at camp and I torture the shit out of him until I either win the war and set him free
Yeah.
or lose the war and he gets set free. They basically take that person into their tribe and teach them the whole culture, teach them their ways of life, and kind of bring them into fold as a family member. So that way, if the war continues or they'll be less likely to attack you if you have your neighbor's son kind of thing.
So they just indoctrinate them and steal them and just you're mine now.
Yes, which is
You're in this tribe.
which is exactly what happens to John Smith. He's taken to the capital, Werowocomoco, where Powhatan wants to bring Smith into the tribe because he wants to keep Smith and his men nearby in Jamestown under control. So what he does, in fact, is he gives Smith it gives him permission to rule a city, one of the cities of the Powhatan people, and brings them in and develops that culture with him. In 1608, Smith himself writes of this experience, and he says, "A great feast was given when I arrived, and we had a long talk with Powhatan, where he has offered me to rule the town of Kapohasik." I'm
Yep.
butchering these names. Who cares?
I don't
Whatever.
know why he couldn't pronounce it. He's gonna be ruler over it.
Yeah, right. Uh, According to Smith's early writings in 1608, he did not even mention Pocahontas at all until the spring of 1608. So this all happened in the winter, well, early spring of 1608, January-ish time frame.
Yeah.
1608 in the spring is when he actually finally talks about Pocahontas, and that's important to know. In his first writings about his experiences held captive, he does not talk about Pocahontas. She doesn't
Yeah.
come up. There's nothing there. He says a great feast was given. I was given to rule over a city. I was set free.
Yeah. No little girl came and ran and jumped on my neck and saved me from a sword or something. Whatever the story was.
Yeah,
Is that what Disney
you're not that
portrayed?
far off from the story. You know, you're not that far off from what the
Okay.
story is.
I told you I know tidbits, but I've never seen I just shut that part of my brain off.
So again, important to note, I can't say this enough. In 1608, in his first writings, he does not talk about Pocahontas. Pocahontas was not there. He was given a feast. He was given rule of a city.
Not a bad day.
Not a bad day. Keep that in mind. Not a bad day. When he finally did meet Pocahontas, he met her because she had a habit of playing with the other children that were around the settlement. And in one account, she was described as playing what I could gather as real wheelbarrow. You know, when like you sit on your
Yeah.
front legs and somebody holds your legs and they run around.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
was doing, yeah, she was doing that with the local kids, and she was doing it naked because
Okay. Because it's
she's a,
1600 and what the hell
you're a Native
else?
American little girl.
Yeah. Like that was just like, man, my
But
kids
obviously,
now just get naked.
yeah, but obviously our Christianness, we can't have that.
That's right, heaven forbid, because then it'll start tempting all the husbands.
With the 10-year-olds. You know what? The sad thing is that really probably wasn't like I talk about how disgusting that was, but in reality, that I mean, if you weren't married by
Yeah.
14, you were an old hag. So
Yeah. 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 Yeah,
people say the world now sucks, but
this whole
read a
Catholics
history book.
yeah, this whole Catholics fiddling kids thing, this isn't new. They didn't just all of a sudden get the idea.
It only all of a sudden became uncouth.
Like, horrific pedophilia has been prevalent throughout the ages.
So it was in this early time at Jamestown where she was given the nickname Pocahontas. And she's given that nickname because the Native American tribes were very superstitious of the white man. Don't blame them.
I mean,
And they didn't.
yeah.
There's some reasons.
Should have been more
There are
superstitious,
reasons.
probably.
Uh, and they didn't want to give people their real names. So they always had new nicknames that they would give that weren't the tribe's nickname and weren't their birth name because superstition.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's where the name Pocahontas comes from. Um, Pocahontas did befriend the community along with other children and other members of the tribe. She wasn't the only one, but she
Yeah.
was known about once every 4 days or so to bring the provisions to the colonists because they were starving, because they built their fort on a marsh that wasn't suitable for farmland because they're fucking idiots.
Here's your food. Please don't kill us in a year. They did anyway.
Spoiler!
Okay. Well, we tried.
Like I said, early colonists, there were a lot of like firsthand accounts from this time period, and they all basically said Pocahontas and several other members of the tribe were, instrumental in keeping that colony afloat because in the early years they were starving.
Yeah, and so she
Because
was.
they haven't
So she
figured out how to
like
grow things yet.
this. I mean, since we don't know how old she actually was, it could either be just some eager little girl who wants to help, be like, "Mom, can I help do this?" Blah 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 blah. Blah. Or it could be somebody like this. This is your job in the community. Like,
No, it's definitely. I think it's definitely more of the little girl like, "Mommy,
just
can I
wanted to
give that
help
homeless man $1?"
just because she was playing with everybody else.
Yep, yep.
And she
I'm
just
pretty
wanted
sure
to be
that's
a
more what
part
it
of it.
was. Through 1608, things were mostly peaceful between Jamestown and the local Native American tribes. But in 1609, the colonists started expanding
Oh,
their fort.
that's that word. Expanding.
Expanding.
That's a bad one for everybody except for white Europeans.
And by expanding, I mean they went to areas that were held by Native Americans. Says it's ours now.
Yeah, they said, "Oh no, I didn't like it back there. We're gonna live here.
Yeah,
You guys live here?
I
No,
know
it
I
doesn't
built
look
that
like it."
fort. I know I built that fort on the marsh, but over here inland, like a mile, you guys have corn and shit growing.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go ahead instead of like learning how to grow corn. I'm just gonna go ahead and expand into this farm that you
it's a
guys made.
lot better to just. It's a lot easier to just keep it going than it is to start from scratch.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
And that's a nice wigwam you got there.
So
It's
hostilities did
mine's now.
begin in 1609 with the First Anglo-Powhatan War, which occurred in the summer of 1609. And during this time, unlike the Disney movie where John Smith gets shot in some kind of
He gets shot?
in the movie, yeah, he gets shot. I believe it's shot. Yeah, he gets shot or
Oh
clubbed or
damn!
something. He gets injured during a war. That's not what happens.
Sounds
He's in the
intense.
fort and gunpowder. Like he's in the fort messing with gunpowder in the gunpowder room, and it blows up, and he gets injured. Like has nothing to do with the war.
So
Has
he's just
nothing to
some
do with
dumbass playing with
Indians.
matches or something, and
He
gunpowder
was,
blows up on him.
you know, he was in. He was probably in the gun room, and he decides to light up some tobacco, and everybody's like, don't light that in here. There's gunpowder." I'm John Smith. I can do what I want.
You want to know what the problem was?
Boom. Huh?
You want to know what the problem was?
What was the problem?
It was that peyote that the Indians used. It wasn't regular tobacco.
Johnny, wait a you. That's an Andrew Jackson moment because peyote grows out in the desert, out in the Southwest. So
Tom, trade routes across the United
I
States.
I I I am willing to bet my left testicle that there was no peyote at this region of Virginia with
All
native.
right. Well,
No,
I'm willing to
I
bet everything that they found some sort of hallucinogenic.
marijuana. I guarantee you
No,
that.
I
Well,
mean,
that's not a hallucinogen, but I
that's what
guarantee you
I'm
he had
saying.
some. Yeah, there was definitely marijuana there.
Well, yeah, I mean, yes. Because why? I mean, why wouldn't you?
Well, because that's natural to the United States, and all the Indians
Oh,
smoked it in their peace pipes.
yeah. Well, I guess being in a gun room though. So he blew himself up
So
or
he blew
got injured.
himself
What
up.
did
So
he?
he
Did
had
he
to
like
be.
did he burn a finger or did he like blow a hand off?
I couldn't find any information about what his specific injuries were, other than he was injured and he
He
had to
probably
go
got
back to
like
England.
dust in his eye or
He
something.
probably, but he had to go back to England for treatment. So he's out of the scene now in
That's just
1609.
his way out.
Pretty much.
I
The
know John
colonists.
Smith's, and he just wanted out of there. He's
He
like,
just wanted out of that. He's like,
my
it's kind of a
something
shithole.
hurts. I blew it up.
He just wanted out of that shithole. Let's be honest. Virginia today is a shithole. I can only imagine Virginia in 1609. Ugh,
Okay. They
swampy
got
balls.
there and decided the best place they could find to settle
Was
down
Virginia.
was a marsh.
Yes.
Like they didn't explore the state further.
I guess not. The colonists told the Powhatans that he was dead, that John Smith had died, and shortly after this, Pocahontas stopped going to the settlement, and Disney would have you believe that she was heartbroken because the love of her life left because he was almost dead. But in reality, what it was the fucking war started, and they weren't doing any trade or any niceties to the colony, so Pocahontas was told, slow your roll, bitch, stay at home.
Yeah, I mean, I could imagine if, like, say, I was at war with, I don't know, somebody in Carmel, which is, a couple cities over, and normally Oliver had been going over to Carmel every day or every week or however often to play, but now it's a war and we're fighting against them. Yeah, I'm gonna stop bringing them over there.
Yeah, because it's hostilities, and you never know
Because
what would happen.
I don't want to die and I don't want him to.
So at home, you might be wondering, where the hell did Disney get this legend? What the hell happened? All that fun stuff. Well,
That's what. Okay, yeah, I'm wondering too. I'm not at home. Well, I'm at home, but I'm not who you're speaking to. But I would also like to know
I am speaking to you.
why did they bastardize it so much?
Okay, so what happened is it's John Smith's fault.
Okay, that's fair.
So what had happened is, well, in 1616, Smith would hear that Pocahontas, we're jumping forward a little bit. So bear with me. We're
Yeah.
going to jump forward into the future, and then we're going to jump back in the
Well, because
past.
John Smith, yeah, because he went home
But he went home. So
crying because he got dust in
1616,
his
Johnny
eye.
Smith is sitting in England, and he hears that Pocahontas is coming to England. Oh, Pocahontas, I knew her. She was that crazy kid that played the wheelbarrow
Yeah.
at the village and gave us some food.
Yeah. Nice little delivery girl.
Cool. It'd be nice if, like, maybe I can, tell a good story about her and get her an audience with Queen Victoria, and by default, get myself an audience with, Queen Victoria, because why wouldn't I want to improve my own social status?
That's a heady play.
So in 1616, he writes a letter to the Queen, and says, "Well, listen, Queen Victoria. When I was held captive."
I imagine he addressed her a little bit better than that. Like,
Well,
I imagine
probably.
he didn't start. Listen here, Queen Victoria.
Listen here, Queenie.
Let me
tell
you
you a story. Let me tell you a story about how I was once a wee captain in Virginia, and I went exploring bravely, mind you, to fight the dirty, dirty Indians that maliciously captured me and took me back to the capital, where they almost killed me. And at this point, quote, This is from his own letter. "At the minute of my execution, she hazarded the beating out of her own brains to save mine. And not only that, but she prevailed with her father that I should safely be conducted back to Jamestown." Complete and total bullshit. What he was trying to do is he was trying to make the story about how she's a hero, and how both the hero and the victim should be allowed to go and see the Queen.
Sure.
To put it in context, think of your favorite president in the United States ever, if you have one, and imagine getting the opportunity to see said favorite president. I don't know if you've had one or not. I don't know.
No.
I don't know if I really do or not. But if you do,
your favorite something.
Your favorite celebrity, whoever your favorite celebrity is, imagine
just
me
having
the opportunity to see the Matt Damon, or the
Matt Damon was your first go-to. That's your go-to.
That was my go-to, I guess. Yeah.
All right. Well, you're meeting Matt
Who's
Damon.
The guy? Why did I forget his name? Who's the guy who did the Mummy?
Brendan Fraser.
Brendan Fraser. Actually, Brendan Fraser might be my more go-to choice, because he seems like a more down-to-earth kind of guy. He's got the dad body going on.
I think he's just I see him as. I think he's just a dork.
Yeah. No. Anyways,
and Brendan I mean Fraser, that in the best way possible.
Yeah. No. Yes.
Case,
Brendan Fraser, the Matt Damon, whoever your favorite celebrity is.
Somebody.
Imagine being able to have the opportunity to visit them by knowing somebody who might be famous and interesting to them that they might also want to see. So you try to attach yourself to it and create this big story that didn't happen, right?
So about 8 years ago or so, 6 years ago, I don't know. I had somebody contact me about my photography that I did, and they were real interested in having me fly out to New York City and be part of this like YouTube feature thing that they were doing or whatever. And so they asked me like what my story was and all this other stuff. And so I just replied to them, and I told them, I'm like, it's just what I do for an outlet. I'm a scientist and blah, 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 blah. And they kept like being like, well, is it because you're depressed, or is it because of this or that? And like they kept like feeding me stuff, and so I could tell what they were looking for and what they wanted. And so I'm like, yeah. So I was like, super depressed, and like this saved my life, and like it pulled me out of it, and it allowed me to express myself and all this. And I was doing it just for fun because I was depressed, and so there was like I'm pulling from reality.
There's a hint of truth to a story that,
but it didn't save my life. But like that's what I went with, and so they flew me out to New York City, and I got to do an interview. And like
Johnny, this podcast for anybody listening at home or anybody who wants to feature us, it totally saved my life.
This pulled me out of the darkest place I've ever been.
Out of a funk that I was in. In any case, he obviously didn't mention the whole part about him giving rule of a city and a great feast.
And well, he forgot how many years it had been.
Yeah, and we know
you can't remember every detail.
No, you can't. Well, he starts adding details is the problem, though, Johnny.
Well, I mean, someone saves your life, though, Tom.
Right? Because long after her death in 1624, Smith expanded the story in his general.
She died in 1624?
No. She died way before that.
Pocahontas?
We'll get there, Johnny. We'll get there. Just we're jumping forward to jump
All right,
back.
all right,
Okay.
all right, all right.
I should have done it in more logical sense, but I figured everybody at home would want to know where this Disney story came from. So I'm
I
trying to
do. Yeah,
explain.
no, go on. All right, I'll stop
All right.
interrupting
So
as
in
much.
1624, John Smith gets the idea to write this is a real book. You can go out and get it. The General History, history spelled Historie, because we're
Yeah.
English and
His
what?
study?
Where great stones were brought before Powhatan. Then as many as could laid hands on them, dragged him to them, and he's talking about himself in third person here, and
Yeah.
thereon laid his head, and being ready with their clubs to beat his brains out, Pocahontas, the kind dearest daughter, when no integrity could prevail, got his head in her arms and laid her own upon his to save him from her death, or from his death. This fucker's talking about himself in third person. So
Okay,
first
I'm
off,
sorry.
you're an asshole.
I think I'm even more mad at Disney right now. They just let John Smith write their movie for them?
Pretty much, because this is like they Disney took this history book, and
Yeah,
I use
but
that term
like
lightly
that, yeah,
because,
that's like the
like we
exact.
talked about in
Oh,
previous episodes,
Jesus.
the people didn't fact check. Well, okay, so they don't really fact check things now, but they really didn't fact check things then. And anybody
No,
could publish anything
yeah,
if you had
no.
the
I
money.
mean, I know we joke about things not being fact checked and all this stuff. Studies have to be reviewed. The FDA exists for a reason. We don't let just anybody write a book and call it Encyclopedia Animalia and then describe animals that don't even exist like you've seen them 100 times, or talk about how birds come out of seaweed and are born out of ships and bullshit like that as fact that people study for hundreds of years.
Now, to be fair, Johnny, I have a bird that nests in my every year. Birds nest in my damn garage awning. So, I mean, maybe what he was talking about is birds nesting in a boat, and then they were born of said boat because they came out of the boat because they nested in the boat.
Yeah. So that's what was happening. What he was talking about was that the rotted wood would literally transform
Bird
into
the
this
bird.
bird because they couldn't find their nests. That was it. And they
That
like
makes
to
sense.
hang out along boats because of fish. I don't know.
So
Anyway,
this dude wrote a book. At this point in time, Pocahontas has died, but has also become, depending on the historical accounts you read, somewhat famous in England. So I guarantee you there was a 0% chance he was just wanting to sell a book and embellishing a story that was already embellished that didn't happen.
yeah. Yeah.
And we know it didn't happen because at one point in time in history, after 1616, he was told by one of his friends to embellish a story to make it better when
Yep.
he was getting ready to write the book.
Yeah,
So,
that's
yep.
how you sell stuff.
And then when Pocahontas and him finally would meet again in England, their interaction is very clear that nothing like that had happened.
Yeah, she's
It's
like,
bullshit.
"Oh, you're that guy. So you look like. Sorry, you guys all look alike. Where do I know
Yeah,
you from?"
you're all white. He also uses a story. Another reason why we know it's bullshit is he uses a story to attempt to raise his stock in society for himself to gain audiences with high society, including the Queen. As around the time the publication had existed, he had lost favor with the London Company, who was a company that was like that funded the whole, Jamestown expedition to begin with. So
Yeah,
the company that founded that whole community, they're like, look, we don't like you anymore, Johnny. Get the hell out. And so he wrote a book to try to make himself look better in public eye.
I'm hurt.
So we're going to jump back into time here, and we're going to go back to the first Powhatan War and what would eventually become Pocahontas's capture and
Okay,
hostage situation.
so real quick though, that was basically the Disney story how it came to be.
Yeah, I mean,
Now
in
we're gonna get
in the
into
Disney
what
movie, it pretty much
actually.
ends with like her saving John Smith from her dad, who was about ready to club him to death.
Yeah,
Which,
I remember the scene of her like jumping over and doing the hug thing and
yeah,
no, and he's like but but that was all that was all from that, and so now this is gonna be what her actual part was,
what
or what
actually
actually
what
happened
actually
with her,
happened.
who
So
she actually
I'm gonna
was.
I'm gonna paint a picture for you, Johnny. Paint a
Paint
picture
away.
with the colors of the wind.
I know that one. Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah,
There we
you
go.
can.
I
That's
don't
the
know.
other thing. So one of the reasons why, because I think the movie had come out like a year before I started getting teased about it, but our school did, the recorder program, flutophone, boo, whatever awful
I used
things,
to play those
which
with my nose.
they've got to be outlawed. I mean, for crying out loud,
They
please.
really should.
But anyway, the solo for it was Colors of the Wind.
Totally
And
makes
people, of
sense.
course, say, "Oh, Josh should play it because he's Josh Smith, and so he should be able to play it." I'm like, I don't want to play it. I don't like it. I want to play Little Mermaid instead. So I did. I got in.
Everybody,
I got
everybody
in on
loves
the Little
living under
Mermaid.
the sea.
Yeah, I got in on
What
that
a better
solo.
Disney movie Under the Sea was, or Little
No,
Mermaid, or whatever.
it's up there, and it's top 5 soundtracks for
So
Disney
first off,
movies all
but back to
time.
the whole princess thing. God damn it, Disney! Stop putting Pocahontas in your princess catalog thing, and just stop. She wasn't a princess. Stop, stop. Anyways, so what really happened?
I mean,
So
okay,
during the
that's
first years of the war between Powhatan and the Anglos, the settlers took over control of James River from the mouth of the river all the way up to the falls. If you would watch the movie, which Johnny, obviously you
they
haven't watched
jump
the
off
movie,
them, right?
yeah, well, she does. Yes,
She
Pocahontas
does.
does. But when he first meets her, he's like on one side of the falls, and he's got his matchlock musket, and he
Uh,
sees the image of Pocahontas through it, but he thinks it's just a dirty savage that he wants to kill because the whole movie makes the point about how John Smith went all over the world killing savages, which he didn't, but whatever. So
no,
he's
but
got
to
his
be fair,
matchlock
he
musket.
probably wanted to.
He probably did. He's got his matchlock. He's got this is. I got to paint this for you, Johnny. He's got to paint
Okay.
colors the wind.
Matchlock, does that have the flare? Did he have a flared end on it? Was that back then or?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a
Okay,
blunderbuss.
so
No.
it's okay. All right.
So it's a
Like you
musket,
have. Yeah, yeah. No, I know which one you're talking about
but
now.
instead of this guy here, which is a percussion, he had
Yeah.
a matchlock, which is a up here would be a piece of burning rope, and then
Okay.
that would fall into a pan of powder and set the gun off.
Okay.
Okay, so he's got the burning rope, and he's on this side of the falls, and the movie makes a point where he blows in, he blows
To
into the
speed
match
it.
to make
Does
sure
that speed it up?
well, make sure the coals were hot on the match.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
then he jumps through the waterfall, which now has put out that match and wet the powder, so
No,
made the
no,
gun
Tom.
completely
I'm sorry.
useless.
Do you not know how
So
physics works? Listen to this. Water falls straight down. He jumps through it. All he's got to do is put his little shoulder over the flame, protected. Boom, done.
that it didn't do that in the movie though, Johnny.
Well, I mean, they took liberties
And trust
drawing it,
me,
but
I have a matchlock. I've shot a matchlock. Those motherfuckers are so damn temperamental. If you look at it the wrong way, it's not going off.
well, to be fair, you're coming from a place where you have access to other newer, better guns. Maybe they were just experts with them, Tommy. You ever consider that? The fact that people in the old days, just because they had rudimentary weapons that didn't work as well as now, they're probably better with them than we are now. Just because they didn't have anything else to do, all they did all day
All
was
right,
sit around
I
shooting
will
their
get.
little muzzle
Fine,
loaders,
fine, Johnny.
whatever.
I will give you credit that they might have been better with his match, but you're running through a waterfall. That thing's wet. The powder's damp. It's not going. It's not going off.
All right, fair enough.
Not going off.
So I'm
If
starting
you
to
can
turn on
jump
this
through a
John
water,
Smith thing. Like he's starting to seem better to me. Like I like his little lies. I like how he's just playing the long game. Like I don't know. It's
he is playing. He's a con man. He's
he
playing the
gets
long
it.
game.
He knows how to play.
He's playing the long game. Anyways, so they control the river, James River, all the way up to that waterfall. From the mouth of it to the waterfall, they have now controlled. So, in 1613, a Captain Samuel Argyle was making contact with one of the
Uh,
northern tribes.
of the sweater variety.
Yes, of the sweater. Yeah, this is where Cosby got his sweaters. Hi-oh. Anyways, so he makes contact with the Patawomek tribe, which is in the north, which is a part of this whole 30 tribe alliance, but not really. They really don't like Powhatan, and they're kind of uppity.
Yeah.
So there's been some hostilities there. Well,
Do
Argyle
sorry.
learns what?
Do you have an idea? So all these different cities, tribes, groups of an approximation of how, like, the numbers that would be involved in one of these tribes? Is it like 500? Is it 50,000? Is it
This is an assumption. I would assume it's around 100
1
to
to
several
200?
hundred. Yeah, like not these aren't
Okay.
the population.
It's your
Yeah,
typical kind of, hunter gatherer traveling
yes,
nomadic type group, which is uh, based on the one book about history I've read, is about 200 people is where that kind of caps out, and then you kind of break
yeah.
it into cities.
You can't be too large where the whole hunter gathering thing doesn't work.
Right.
Yeah, farming is where large society. Well, anyways, that's another
No, well, yeah,
sociological.
no,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're not going to get in there. Anyways, so he finds out that Pocahontas has actually been a hostage of the Potawatomi tribe, uh, because they were kind of warring with Powhatan. So naturally, we exchanged hostages. At which point the Kokomo, what was his name? Anyways, we'll get there.
The
Uh,
Kokomo,
Coke
way
Coke
down
something
in
or other. It's
Kokomo.
in Coke. It's in my notes somewhere, and I can't remember it off the top of my head. It's
Ah,
anyways.
you'll find it.
Pocahontas's fiance is actually a
Huh?
part of this tribe.
Oh, wait. Oh, wait. What? But she married John Rolfe.
Wait, we'll get there. We'll get there.
What? This is, she's got some scandal.
This is scandalous.
All right, I'm
Scandalous.
interested. I'm
Scandalous.
intrigued now.
But anyways,
This
while
is
she's
turning
there,
into an
she
episode of The Office with Pam breaking off her divorce.
yeah. Oh, so
Spoiler
but
alert.
in the whole like Disney movie, Cocoam. That's the guy's name, Cocoam. Uh, uh, she, was engaged to the head warrior of Powhatan's tribe, which is bullshit. It was actually this other tribe in the north that
Yeah, well,
it was an engagement through convenience and alliance and that kind of stuff.
like most marriages were back then.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. The chief, the sub chief of that tribe was Lopasus, who really didn't like Powhatan. So Argyle convinces him to like, look, listen, Argyle, or listen, Lopus. If you join with me, the white man, I
Yeah.
will use my fancy muskets, and we will
Boom.
fuck up Powhatan.
Done.
If you
Right?
join with me, and in exchange, go ahead and give me Pocahontas, his favorite daughter, because, well,
Fair is fair.
fair's fair, right? You got to give me something for this alliance.
Yeah.
And Pocahontas, she's a looker.
Yeah.
She's got all of her teeth.
Every
I
last
don't
one
know
of
if
them.
that was actually true or not, but I'm saying she has all
Unlikely.
of her teeth. No, not likely at all, no. But anyways, so he agrees to this. They actually wind up tricking Pocahontas onto Argyle's boat, where he instantly used her as a ransom against Powhatan because, yep, English version of hostages is a lot different than the Native Americans version
Yeah.
of hostages were.
I'll just blow her
Uh,
head off.
if
Like,
you don't,
unless you do this thing, like, she's just
so
gonna be dead.
what he demanded of Powhatan was that I want all of my prisoners back, which didn't really want to come back because they're living the high life owning cities.
Yeah, make me a prisoner. Like, come on, I get control of something now.
Awesome.
Like, can you imagine? Like, I guarantee, like, all these people that are like going in and getting captured and having to do, they didn't own a city in their previous tribe. They're probably like, oh
They
yeah, I like it over
they
here.
sure as shit
What's
didn't.
up?
Uh, he also asked for weapons back that were captured throughout the war. Powhatan said, "Yep, here you go. Here are some hostages back.
Bad
Here's some
idea.
of here's some of the weapons back."
Real bad
And Argyle
idea.
said, "Not good enough. I think you're holding out on me. I think you have more guns and weapons than what you gave us."
That's when he should have been
So,
like, surprise, I do, and came out with like all of his men holding guns and just blown them away.
well, Johnny, he didn't.
History would have been different. You and I'd
History
look
would have been
different.
different, but he didn't. And it creates a year-long standoff between Jamestown and the Powhatan tribe. So, yay!
Is there anything better for a traveling European than a peaceful native person or people?
Yeah, because they could just exploit them however the hell they want.
Like that, like every single story of like, oh, this is the discovery of this place starts with,
A
so they
white,
showed up and they were tired from being at sea for so long. And then, oh, people from this place that was currently undiscovered came by and tended to their wounds and fed them and helped them get better. And then they killed all
yep, that's the story of our Thanksgiving.
of them. And yay! Every year we
Yay!
remember.
So, oral tradition, like I said, has Kocoum marrying Pocahontas prior to her being captured by the white man. Kocoum will die during this year-long standoff to try to get Pocahontas back.
Okay.
There is
No.
a
So
oral
that's where her
tradition that,
fiance goes.
yep, there is a
Dead.
tradition that Kocoum and Pocahontas have a kid named Keoki. But there's debate whether that's actually true or not, because the only real reference that we have to Kocoum actually existing was in a 1616 document by William Stachey, who talked about Kocoum in random passing being married to Pocahontas prior to her being a hostage. So, might have been, might not have been. Who knows? Doesn't really matter to
That's a
to the point of the story.
frustrating thing. Like, and I imagine it's going to be even harder for, historians in the future. Because, like, looking back, all you can do is
We
you
didn't
can
have
look.
anything written. It was just all oral, and now everything's written, so God knows what you believe in.
Well, but like when it was written, it's like, okay, you have to either just accept that it's true, or you have to be able to debunk it enough from all the other information that you get to be like, no, they were probably fabricating this, that, or the other. And now it's like, I mean, Christ almighty, get on Twitter and good luck figuring out what's
And
true.
on Facebook with all the news articles and stuff that come out, like
Anything.
for a long time I would debunk fake articles, and then I got sick of doing it because nobody cared
Everybody does. It's,
anyways.
it's too much. You get tired. And
Yeah,
like, it's
nobody.
easy. Like, if it's something that I care about, or like think, oh, well, that's something I'm interested in or it's important, it's easy to do the research to figure out if it's true or not.
It takes 2
It's
seconds to Google
just
something.
right, but it's just you are inundated with so much of it that you don't care to do it anymore.
That's true. That's
And then
true.
it's just a headline that scrolls by and then plants a little seed in your brain. And they know that. Everybody knows that. That's why they make the headlines the way they do.
Sure
Awful.
do, Johnny.
All right,
Well, in any
different
case,
episode.
yeah, different episode. In 1614, a violent confrontation erupts between the Panunkey River, or at the Panunkey River, where colonists encounter a group of senior Indian leaders, of which a lot of them are Powhatans, like next in commands.
Senior high level, not senior old.
Yes, high level, not old. Yep.
All right.
During this conflict, they actually do bring Pocahontas to the scene, and allegedly she states that, or she berates her father, stating that you value her life less than the swords, pieces, or axes that you have.
He's like,
And then,
yeah? He's like, have
yeah,
you not been paying attention to how your life has worked for the past 18 years or whatever? Like, Christ almighty. Have you seen the world right now?
yeah, we've traded you around for a lot of different things. So,
Yeah,
yep.
we don't care about people at this point.
And then she says that I would much rather live with a colonist who actually value her and love her, which, it's debatable. There is a story about her, how she was raped, but that's probably unlikely because, well, she was a valued, piece of property, for lack of a better word. You're not going to destroy it before you send it back. But during this time, while she was in captivity, she did conform to Christianity. She did adopt the name Rebecca when she was baptized. So she is now no longer savaged. She is a civilized person.
She did such a nice job.
She did. And we got to rapid fire some of this because we're going long on an episode that I thought was going to be like 20 minutes.
Now with my sidetracks.
No, I know. We get them off all over the place. Anyways, so insert what I'm going to call the rebel tobacco plantation owner, John Rolfe, and his marriage to Pocahontas.
All right, my hero.
Your hero, Johnny Rolfe. So,
although I did say John Wolfe the entire time, and so I kind of screwed the pooch on
Rolfe,
that.
ROLFE, Rolfe.
But I had an out.
You had it there. So, like I said, she did. She is a Christian woman. John Wolfe would enter Jamestown community. At this point in time, tobacco is heavily regulated by the Spanish. They're the only ones who can legally, according to Spain.
Yeah.
Plant tobacco, transport tobacco, produce tobacco, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure there was nobody ignoring that.
John Rolfe ignored it, stole a bunch of tobacco seeds,
Oh,
came over to Virginia, which is super great for tobacco in the hot, sweaty ball sack swampland that Virginia
I
is.
mean, that's still where most of it's grown, right? Like
Yeah,
in
and grew a
Appalachia.
shit ton of tobacco and became a
Yeah,
tobacco plant owner. He would meet, Pocahontas throughout the community, whatever, he fell infatuated with her because, hey, you're a little different, you're
had
a
a
little
thing for the
exotic,
natives.
you're a
That's all
little
right.
exciting. Who doesn't, right? His
Uh,
wife and his child would actually die on the
I mean,
way.
most of the Americans that went around murdering all of them, maybe.
Yeah,
But,
well,
you know.
uh, his wife Sarah Hacker and his child would die on a shipwreck on the way over to Virginia on the ship Sea Venture, which crashed on the Summer Isles, which is now Bermuda. So, hey, Bermuda Triangle. He
Bum
probably started
City.
that whole bullshit.
That's
Bum City.
that's a
So
bummer. Yeah.
he's just a single dude. He's rich. He owns his tobacco. There's not a lot else going on. There's not a lot of single women out there. But here's Pocahontas.
Yeah. All
I'd like to
right.
poke her honest, if you
And
know
she's
what I
at
mean.
least like 15 or 16 by now.
Yeah. She's like when they get married, she's allegedly around 18. Allegedly.
All right. You
John
say
Smith,
so.
John Rolfe would fall in love with Pocahontas, but he's a pious man, Johnny. He's a Christian, and
Yeah. A good
I can't
Christian
just
man.
go off. I can't go off marrying any savage, right?
Well, no,
So
but
he winds up writing a letter to the governor of Virginia, stating, and I quote in this letter, "Motivated not by the unbridled desire of carnal affection," bullshit, he totally was, "but not for the good of this plantation, but for the honor of our country, the glory of God, for my own salvation, and namely that of Pocahontas, to whom my hearty and best thoughts are, and have been for a long time, so entangled and enthralled in so intricate a labyrinth that I was even a wearied to unwind myself thereof."
that
So
dude is thirsty.
thirsty for some
Holy
native.
shit.
Governor, not only did the governor grant permission, but also attended the wedding himself. And on April 5th, 1614, Chaplain Richard Buck would marry the two. John, at this time, I did look up these
When
ages.
they got married, had she converted and was she Rebecca?
Yes. At this point,
Okay.
she was already Christian.
Yeah,
She was
right,
already
okay.
Rebecca. She was already Christian.
Yeah.
John,
So that's why the reason I asked was why did he still need permission?
because she was born native. I don't know.
Really? But I thought the whole Christian thing was like convert and you'll be. I guess I'm not gonna start trying to make sense of
I don't know
that.
how to speculate
Never
with that,
mind. I'm
Johnny.
sorry.
I think she was brown and he
That
was
was
white, and he wanted to make sure it was
got
truth.
it. Yep. Got to make sure it's okay.
I think that's probably the
Yep.
more realistic.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. She looked different than him.
At the
What
time
do
of
your
their
babies look like? They'll be different colored.
they'll be different. We can't have that. John was 29 at the marriage, and like I said, Pocahontas was around 18. The marriage was the talk of Jamestown because how dare a commoner marry a princess? I shit you not. That was actually a legitimate fucking thing that was said. Was how does a princess marry a She wasn't a fucking princess.
Tom, you're surprised that people were stupid and believed what they were told back then?
In reality, it was because she was brown, Johnny. Let's be honest. She was brown. He was white. We can't have none of that shit.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, we've been making similar type excuses where it's no. It's not because it's not because they're black. It's not that. It's because of this one. It's
He's poor, and we can't have that. Or she's she comes from. She's an uptown girl.
I mean, did you see the clothes they had on? Like, come on, they had a hoodie. Yeah. Can you believe it?
I can't believe he had a hoodie. In this weather, fuck no. It's hot as balls in here.
Yeah, it's toasty.
Anyways, this marriage did actually kind of calm down some of the relations with the Powhatan people, who actually wind up renewing trade and friendly relations in 1615. So about a year later, things calmed the fuck down and everybody's cool.
Great.
So one of the goals, and this is where she goes to England and will eventually, not make it. one of the goals of the Virginia Company of London, which was also helping finance the whole Jamestown colony, was that they wanted to convert as many heathens to Christianity as they could,
I
and then
mean,
bring those new Christians to England and say, look what we did.
yeah,
We are
yeah,
English and we are making the world a better place.
yeah. Look, more of us. That's all we need.
So John Rolfe, after he married Pocahontas, they would leave for England on June 12th, 1616, 2 years later, with 11 other Powhatans, including a holy man named Tomoko, Tomo,
So,
Tomokomo,
Tomoko.
Tomoko, or whatever. Anyways, so they would show that the civilized world, that we can in fact civilize these savages, because they're
Oh, look at
savages
that.
because they don't have any culture of their own.
That's right. Yeah, but they don't have. They had. I mean, they had creation myths and stuff, but they were crazy. You'd never believe it. It was all these mythical beings that don't actually exist that had power over things. That how would they possibly do that? And like it. Trust me, it's insane. But anyway, now they're Christians and they believe in our God who came down, died,
And
and
had
then rose
mythical
back to
powers,
life,
and
and then now
yeah,
is a
yeah, yep,
ghost and he's going to come back.
yep. Smith did
Makes
not meet
sense.
Pocahontas when she first arrived, but he did warn all that he came in contact with that, hey, look, you should really probably treat her well because we don't want to piss her off, because that might give her a bad taste of the English and that might piss off the Indians back home, and we don't want
Okay, maybe. I mean, sure, yeah. Just be polite to your
that.
guest.
Be polite to your guest. Uh,
Like,
she was she
common
was
courtesy.
she was entertained while she was there, or entertainment is probably
Yeah, I'm
better.
guessing entertainment wish.
On January 5th, 1617, she and Tomokoma would actually be brought forth in front of the king at the Palace of Whitehall, where neither cared or knew who the hell they met until after the fact, when they were told who the hell they met, because it's some other white dude wearing a puffy coat. Who
I mean,
cares?
yeah, like what? That's such. I
The
can't
Virginia.
imagine caring about meeting somebody back then or now. Like, I'm just not. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not like a star. I don't know. Maybe I would be starstruck if I came across somebody who I really respected and admired and
Probably
whatever.
not. You probably see him from across. Oh, hey, that's
Yeah, but like I'm not gonna approach him. I know that. Like that's
Oh, I
not my
definitely wouldn't approach
personality.
him.
Like I'm not gonna talk to him and so just be like, oh look, that's Jack Black or whatever. Like okay, and that's the end.
Jack
Like
Black, that's the guy you went with. Weird.
I don't know. He's been in my brain recently. I've seen him like on a bunch of pictures of him. I don't know. I'm going through some stuff. But anyway, yeah, Jack Black was who I went with.
Anyways, the Virginia Company made sure that they presented Pocahontas as a princess, which she fucking wasn't, but they made sure they presented her as
I'm
that, so
sorry.
that way,
Tell me, you get called a princess enough, you're a princess.
fine, whatever. She's a
Like the
princess.
history
And she
doesn't
gets
matter anymore. Like you of all people should know that historically, if you just say something
enough.
enough,
It's true.
now it's
Yeah.
fact. I
Well,
mean,
fine. She's a princess,
look at
Johnny.
American
Jesus
history.
Christ. In spring 1617, Smith would actually wind up meeting Rolfe and Pocahontas at the Rolfe estate, where Pocahontas gave him a dirty look and locked herself in a room for 3 hours.
She threw a tantrum.
She threw a tantrum.
Yeah,
She
like
sure
she
should
got
did. And not because she loved him. Not because she loved him. When she
yeah.
finally did arise out, she said, quote, the courtesies she had done, you did promise Powhatan that what was yours was to be mine, and he, like you, all called you father. So basically what she's saying to John Smith is, you guys had an agreement.
To
He
John
gave you a
Smith or
city.
Rolfe?
John Smith.
Okay.
He gave you a city.
Yeah.
What was yours was his. We
Yeah.
were supposed to be family. I was
Yeah.
supposed to call you father, which threw him off because he's like, well, you're a princess. Why are you calling me father?
Because he's like,
Which
wait, hold up. I'm pretty sure that we fell in love in the movie that happens 400 years from now.
She explains when he gets thrown off about father and he asks her about it. She says, were you not afraid to come into my father's country and cause fear in him and his people, and fear you were here? I should call you father. I tell you that I will and shall you shall call me your child, and I will be forever yours, and you will be ever my countryman. So basically, it's a show of respect. Not there was, and this is again
Okay.
furthering
But
that there was no love. This isn't a porn star daddy
Okay, that's
situation.
what I was gonna ask. I was gonna
It's not
ask,
that.
was
It
father
is.
just what they used to say instead of
It's
daddy?
yes. It is respect. It's not.
Okay, daddy.
It's not okay, daddy. Yeah, with your biting of your damn lip there, Johnny. So that threw him off. But anyways, the experience wasn't pleasant. If this was somebody who saved his life, you'd think there would be some reference to that. There's never been any reference of it.
Yeah.
Pocahontas never confirmed the story. It didn't happen. It was bullshit. In March
But it was
1617,
bullshit to better the life of John Smith, and I think that's important
yeah, it's
to note
bullshit to better.
here.
Yeah, it's bullshit to better
That
Johnny Smith.
that John Smiths don't just bullshit things
They bullshit to better their lives.
unless it's to better our lives.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
I think I want to get out there with that. I think that's important.
In March 1617, she would board a ship to return to Virginia, but would only make it to the city of Gravesend on the Thames River because, well, she became gravely ill because she spent the last better part of the year with the white man who had smallpox, pneumonia, tuberculosis, or any of the other white man diseases that she
Yeah.
inevitably caught. And she would wind up dying and being buried on March 21st, 1617, at the parish of St. George Church in their graveyard, which was destroyed in 1727 by a fire. So kick
Whoops.
her while she's
So
down.
I think that might be one of my favorite kind of, I don't know if you'd call it a misnomer or what you might call it. My favorite things about the way we view, the Europeans coming over, and now we're giving the Native Americans a disease. We called them savages,
Yep.
and the reason they got disease from us was because they fucking showered
Yep.
and cleaned themselves and didn't just live in filth and squalor and urine and feces. And we called
Yeah.
them savages.
They didn't have the
They
immunity
taught us how to
system.
bathe. We came over and they're like, God, you guys fucking reek. We have to teach you how
Go
to
hop in
bathe.
that waterfall.
Yeah, look at this. This is lard that we turned to soap. Use it. I don't know if they invented soap. I made that part up, but they taught us how to bathe. I know that. I read
Yeah.
it once.
There was definitely some showering going on that wasn't so much going on in Europe and large cities.
And
So
and so we just bring over our feces covered clothes and bodies and like, hey guys, how are you? You're dead because you got a disease that you never heard of.
although Johnny, they did give us syphilis.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess fair's fair.
It might give us. I mean, we got it because we raped them nonstop.
Well,
So,
there's those details are, we'll just not include them in the history books, and then they never happen.
There is actually a life-size statue of Pocahontas on Georgia's church property
How
now
tall was
because it's
she?
been rebuilt. I don't know.
Oh,
How
how
would
tall
they?
is the
Yeah, that's a
statue?
good question. How the hell would they know if it's life-size?
I
They
mean,
just
that's
guessed.
what, yeah, that's what
They
I'm
just
wondering.
guessed. They
Like
guessed.
did they use like the average size of a female? Were they
God,
shorter back
there is
then?
a
I don't
picture.
know.
I'm going to put the picture for the description of this episode
Okay.
of her in like Victorian clothing. It is the weirdest, like, odd thing ever.
Yeah,
It's the most English
almost
thing to
kind of like
do.
you took somebody completely out of their element and tried to insert them into a world that just made no sense to them and wasn't any good for them at all, and actually was probably bad for all of her friends and relatives and everybody
Yep,
else.
yep,
A little bit like that.
yep. A little bit like
Just
that.
kind of make your skin crawl a little bit, knowing that like so many of these people used to exist, and then the white man came over and just murdered all of
Rolf
them
and
and killed them all with disease.
Rolf and Pocahontas. They did have a son named Thomas Rolfe, who
Huh.
had a
Okay,
plethora.
I'm sorry. I mean, the connection. John Smith led us to John Rolfe, led us to Thomas Rolfe, Johnny and
Oh
Tommy. I'm
shit, we're
sorry.
there.
How
I didn't
about
even think
that?
about that. Yeah.
How's that for having a generic white guy name? We're gonna show up in history books all over
Hey,
together.
I have the generic white guy name. That's in the Bible who doubted Jesus came back from the dead. So
I don't
and
know
I
if
still maintain to this day. Why is that a bad thing? Why is Thomas doubt? Hey, look, I want to see Jesus out of the grave before I believe that he's alive.
do you want to know
How is that a
why?
bad thing?
Because that's science, Tommy. That is
we
the
can't we
literal
can't have none of that
definition
shit.
of science. Is, oh, he's out of the grave? Really? Can we look and check?
So
Like that's science, and so that's why He's
Pocahontas
bad.
became a popular figure in culture all the way back to 1620s. But my fun fact of the episode, Johnny, is that in 1855, John Brougham produced a burlesque show called Pocahontas, or the
I mean,
Gentle Savage.
it was a matter of time. I mean,
So
with Poke in your name,
the first
I'm surprised it took
Pocahontas,
till 1895.
the first Pocahontas porn was 1855. Johnny, 55.
55. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Was the first Pocahontas porn.
Yeah.
I really wish it would. I wish there
And it
was
was a
some kind of
live
video
show
of it.
at that.
Yeah, it was burlesque, So I wish there was a video that existed of it, because I'd be interested to see what it looked like.
I mean, if only there were video back then. That's it for this week of Historic Hindsight. Remember to subscribe, rate, and review, and join us next week when we talk about Lorena Bobbitt.
Throwing some penises out the window.
Ooh, Ziploc baggy. Bye.